And everything goes back to the very beginning. When the first legends built a united republic to enable supreme power to the people, join Fiat Republic on a thrilling adventure. This is a Crypto Legends podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first Crypto Legends Live. My name is Adam Bialy. I'm the founder and CEO of Fiat Republic. It's great to see such a big turnout. Really pleased that you've all come. And we're really humbled. We're being hosted by Ramp here today, so just wanted to say big thanks to Ramp for letting us use their amazing office. Also, big thanks to the amazing Fiat Republic team, Charles, Faria, and Misha, who are busting their ass kind of organizing all of this. I just wanted to kind of say a couple of things before we start, about Fiat Republic, what we're about, what is the mission, what is the vision, and what is this conversation about as well. So when we started Fiat Republic almost 2 years ago now, we kind of set off on a mission to bridge the traditional world of finance and crypto, digital assets, because we saw a big problem. We saw a massive clash between banking, between TradFi, crypto, digital assets, NFTs, etc. And that clash was the result of lack of trust. There's no trust towards the crypto industry, and there's no alignment with sort of a common standard of compliance. There's no common standard of compliance because there's nothing to comply to. Or nothing to comply towards, right? So what we're really about is, talking and continuing the dialogue or enabling the dialogue between TradFi and crypto. It is seizing this massive opportunity that is in crypto, which is, many numbers illustrated, but one of the most powerful ones, in my opinion, is 300,000 people. 300 million people have in some shape or form touched crypto, right? And that's almost 4% of the world's population. So it's growing, it's getting bigger. It is getting more substantial. I would argue against people that say that we're in an early adoption phase right now of crypto. I would say that we're still in the innovation phase. I don't know how many of you know the law of diffusion of innovation, right? And those are different stages, and a great book called Crossing the Chasm. I would argue that we're still in an innovators phase. So what we need to do is we need to enable the innovators, you guys, of this space to inject trust where there's none. And we need to enable dialogue with the banks, with the regulators. We need to make sure that the conversation is flowing. We need to ultimately build a bridge between Web 2, TradFi, and crypto, digital assets. So that's what we're all about. We're enabling conversations like this one. This is just the start. One of the biggest concepts of Fiat Republic was to enable a consortium. So get a cozy club of crypto platforms, digital asset platforms together, and enable a conversation about compliance, enable a conversation about a common standard of compliance, and make sure that we're a bit less intimidating to the banking industry, to the traditional finance industry, so they start taking a dip into crypto. They start supporting some of our flows, some of our business. So and this is very much the conversation. This conversation is going to start that process. Hopefully, we have amazing guests from many really good companies in the crypto space. The first panel is going to be hosted by my co-founder, Sophie. And we're going to talk about bridging Web 2 and Web 3 and embedding traditional payments into Web 3. So Over to Sophie, passing the mic. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adam, and good evening, everybody. My name is Sophie Guibaud, and so I'm one of the co-founders of Fiat Republic and looking after everything commercial and marketing. So as Adam mentioned, tonight we have great guests to discuss about bridging Web 2 and Web 3, and specifically talking about how to best embed traditional payments in crypto platforms. So we are joined by Sam from Luno. Do you want to do a quick intro?
Sure. Can you hear me? Yeah, you can, with the mic. I'm Sam. I'm from Luno. We're a crypto exchange. We're mainly based in Africa and Southeast Asia. We've been around for quite a while, for around 8 years, kind of an OG crypto exchange from Africa. We have around 10 million customers. That sounds like a lot, but if you think about how massive those regions are, we're just getting started. I look after the UK business, and that's kind of what we're doing next, growing into Europe.
Thank you, Sam. We have Kat from Gemini. Do you want to do a quick intro?
First of all, thank you, Crypto Legends. Thank you, Sophie. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Kat, and I look after business development efforts at Gemini in EMEA. Before I introduce Gemini to you, I'd like to give you an insight into my background. I first touched crypto back in 2017 when I was working on the trading floor of a Swiss investment bank. We were offering structured notes on all types of asset classes, and we wanted to launch a note which would give institutional investors some sort of access to crypto, some sort of exposure. And back then we quickly realized that the ecosystem wasn't suited for institutional investors at all. So since then, I made it my mission to bridge the gap between TradFi and this emerging asset class. Prior to joining Gemini, I was head of product at Copper, building the crypto custody solution. And here at Gemini, I'm taking more of a strategic business development role. So in case you haven't heard about us, Gemini is a regulated and trusted crypto custody and exchange. And we've created a set of tools which include a trading desk, OTC transactions, prime brokerage, and other products which enable institutional investors to access this emerging asset class in a safe and secure manner.
Thank you so much, Kat. Ross, do you want to do a quick intro?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Ross. I really thank you for guys having us here, and happy to see everyone here. I'm ex-Wirex CTO. I built Wirex from scratch during 6 years, and right now moving to the new ventures so that I'm starting in disruption of field of investments in crypto assets, together with having full self-custody solution for customers and stablecoin payments space and raising funds right now for these new ventures. But overall, I have a hell of a lot of experience in traditional finance and crypto finance, from banking solutions to the algorithmic stablecoins. And I do understand the struggle at the beginning that we had on the beginning of crypto market, and how we see right now, and we'll recognize further integration of digital assets and assets money flows in the whole world. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Ross. And last but not least, Jeff from Coinpass.
Well, hi, my name is Jeff Hancock, from co-founder and CEO of, pardon me, to a podcast this afternoon, that was a mistake. Co-founder, CEO of Coinpass.com. We're a UK-based crypto asset exchange. We're registered with the Financial Conduct Authority, one of the 40 companies. I should say 39. Gemini's got 2 of them for some reason. I've been in tech and cybersecurity about 15, 16 years. I started my career in hotels and casinos in Australia, so a highly regulated environment. I've been in tech pretty much my entire life. I started Coinpass as an idea back in 2017 when I was working at SoftBank, so we had a very close overlap there. I think I left SoftBank to do crypto a little bit too early, because if I was still at SoftBank when you guys started, we might have had a different trajectory, but whatever, it's fine. We started off serving retail customers in 2018, quickly moved into corporates, and today we do everything from retail, corporate business. We've got our first neobank launching very soon. Institutional investors and also pension funds invest through our platform here in the UK. We're still a smaller firm compared to some of the others, and being a UK focus, but we've gone out a piece of the market, and look forward to sharing some of the insight with you guys today as well.
Thank you so much, Jeff. So tonight we're discussing about unlocking access for millions of users. And to do that, we need a bridge between Web 2 and Web 3. And we will discuss in this panel about like the best practices that you have put in place across your different platforms when it comes to embedding traditional payments in your platforms, as well how you can collaborate with banks and regulators to make this happen more swiftly. And finally, we will discuss about how you are currently weathering the current crypto climate. So to start with, I would like to ask a question to you, Ross. Web 3 begins where Web 2 ends, but it's worth integrating the concept to know where we are now. First, the digital wallet, PayPal, brought us from Web 1 to Web 2. And then Web 2, among other stuff, brought bricks to clicks, so e-commerce and payments. And then the gap that were left brought microservices built on top of it. So according to you, you have been working in banking payments services. Where would you say Web 2 starts, Web 2 ends, and Web 3 starts?
It's a hard question. But I'll say at first, just because this space of kind of merging Web 2 and Web 3, it's extremely volatile. When I started crypto 7 years ago, the Web 3, there wasn't kind of such a narrative as Web 3, but cryptocurrency, digital assets, that was something what was beginning like on the laptops of tech-savvy guys mining things, mining bitcoins on their laptops. But then companies started to build end-to-end solutions for onboarding like crypto people, crypto curious persons, like a digital assets curious people, and there was kind of a narrative to build end-to-end full KYC blah 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 thing, and then bring users to that thing. After that, there was it been split to different companies, to different solutions, on-ramps and services. You've seen that in the previous bull run, hello for on-ramps that did buying crypto very cheap and very fast, and you can like literally in a few seconds have a KYC on that side. And and from that point started like a narrative Web 3, and started the erasing of bridge, erasing the gap between the Web 3 and Web 2, just because Web 2 in parallel started to onboard or target customers like cryptocurrency customers on their side, like a PayPal did. Hey PayPal. Like a PayPal did. They just included the cryptocurrency into their services. And there is no narrative of Web 3 on that point, but cryptocurrency became hot. And speaking further, Web 3 narrative as alone, it lives only like a DeFi, or it's applicable to DeFi, or it's even kind of a wide buzzword that we hear. But speaking clearly, Web 3 as initial idea is more related to the DeFi, more related to the things that extremely crypto punkish or something like that, where you can't speak about the any centralization, because you literally will be punched in your face if you will speak in a field of such people that really into Web 3. But speaking broadly, everyone's hearing about Web 3 and merges this kind of digital asset thing and Web 3. Speaking broadly, any bank, any fintech solution will have a digital assets accounts, Bitcoin, stablecoins, blah, 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 even though people wouldn't recognize that they have any Web3 or Web2 or WebX integration. And that's where we are going to be, I don't know, in 5 years, that normal user will send the USD and it will go through the rails of stablecoins, but under the hood. But on top of that there will be kind of just USD and so on and so forth. So Web3 by crypto banks would beat the Web2, and it would kind of revolutionize the whole payments and whole ways how we will exchange the information. And it has a clear border between products, between companies, just because Web3 is about when you own your money, when you own your information. And that's where the Web3, the clear punkish Web3 ends. But Web3 as a buzzword, it ends in a founder's decks, where like after or before the like a number where we have to what they want to raise from the funds together with AI right now. So that's the thing.
Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to add something to this point? Not at this stage. Cool. So we are actually jumping now in another precursor to Web3, which is neobanks. And Kat has quite some experience when it comes to it. So Kat, I would love for you to tell me, when it comes to fiat access and banking functionalities, what key growing pains of neobanks do you think crypto platforms are also experiencing?
It's an excellent question. In fact, I have first-hand experience building and launching a neobank and also working for crypto companies. So I have identified 2 types of issues that both types of companies actually face. The first one is a technological challenge. So as any new technology, you cannot exist in isolation from the existing ecosystem. So, for example, when you're a neobank, you would need to have your third-party providers plug into your platform. So when I was working on launching a neobank, I was looking after integrating with banking providers, all the API integrations essentially. And our team quickly realized that no matter how advanced your interfaces are, at some point you will need to integrate with another solution which may have a code base which dates to 20 years ago. And what's been happening is that code base have been amended with patches on top of other patches, but there hasn't been sort of a new solution built from scratch. And that means that when you're pushing out new code, you may have hiccups. So that is the same type of problem that neobanks and the crypto companies would face. So as a crypto company, one of your sort of services is actually changing or like transacting between fiat to crypto, not just crypto to crypto transactions or exchanges. And what happens here is that you need to integrate to your fiat providers. And that is exactly the same challenge that you would face if you're building a neobank. So the second challenge that I've identified is more a regulatory one. So the crypto companies right now are facing very similar challenges on the regulatory side as all of the neobanks faced with obtaining electronic money licenses. And we're both industries were yet to gain trust from the regulators. And whilst we're working on this new technology, the regulators are slowly catching up and they're learning as we're going. So the EMI license, which was pushed out first in like 2011, has gone through multiple iterations. And we experience exactly the same type of pattern in crypto. So at Gemini, we are one of the highest regulated crypto companies. I can give you some examples, in fact. So we're authorized as an EMI, so the same electronic money license by the FCA. We're approved by FCA for the crypto asset registration. So that is the UK. In Ireland, we're also authorized by CBI as EMI, and we're registered as a virtual asset service provider with a CBI. So what is happening is that we are waiting for the MiCA regulation to kick in European Union. There's going to be probably 2024. And this month, just a couple of weeks ago, there's been a new update from the HM Treasury on the types of regulation of the digital assets. So the regulators are going at the same pace as the innovation is happening. And it is ultimately extremely important. And it goes without saying that whatever innovative technology you're providing, the regulators and the regulation helps us to protect the end users of this technology. So as innovators, we have to work with regulators, and that is the only way forward.
Yeah, no, it totally makes sense. And I think everybody here is like very pro-regulation, and this is something we will touch upon in also like the next panel to dive into like the latest regulations. But I would like to pick up on the first point actually and talk about relationship with banks. So you have been mentioning accessing Fiat functionalities, integration, but there is also just like the relationship aspect. And on one side, there is the aspect of working with tier 2 banks, and sometimes that are tier 2, tier 3 banks that are a bit risky, that don't have all the capacities that that crypto platform need. And on the other side, there is the tier 1 banks that basically we need the functionality of, but that don't open the doors so easily. So that would be a question for Jeff and Kat. How do we fix this era of protectionism?
It's a tough one to answer. I mean, how do the banks protect themselves from crypto? Really simple. Lop it off and don't offer it to anybody. Do banks see crypto as a threat? No, but they see the compliance overhead of people losing their money, control of money supply, how the banks are regulated with the FCA or whoever else, the international border payments. They simply can't keep up with how fast crypto can move from a technological standpoint. Going back to our first exposure to crypto, the first time I ever touched Bitcoin or Litecoin, it might have been, was I needed to send a really first world problem. I needed to send £10,000 to Australia. Barclays were going to charge me 2.5%, and it was going to take a week. An FX provider was going to charge me 3.5%, and it was going to take 5 days. Or I could send it to my own wallet on the other side of the world in less than a minute for 15 cents. That's a really good deal, right? And that sort of existential threat on a technological perspective is something they just can't handle. So the easiest way, instead of embracing innovation and embracing, a new paradigm of this is a technological breakthrough that we could leverage, but it will cost us a lot of money because we make quite a lot of profit being the middleman. And that's where a lot of the business is. The SWIFT network, BACS, all those international payment standards, they all make the middleman a lot of money. So having this protectionism about it's their business model first and then KYC and everything else second, it makes it very hard to be an innovator in a space like this. We always knew for our business that, in 2017, 2018, there was no crypto regulation in the UK. The word Bitcoin, crypto, and blockchain were all the same thing in the FCA's eyes. And then in 2020, miraculously, they've broken it up into a few little subtopics. Like, yeah, great, finally, they're learning. But the banks don't really have to play that game. Right? They've got, the order book of all of their customers' details. They control all the payments between banks. They run their own separate ledgers instead of one ledger between all banks, which is just mind-boggling when we think about crypto, right? It's one-to-one. It doesn't matter which wallet is in. The money supply is the same, and that doesn't exist in banking. So the protectionism of if it's too high risk, i.e. tobacco, gambling, crypto, it's just a no-go. So we have to use providers in the tier 2, tier 3 space that are EMIs, that have a little bit more risk appetite, but they have to understand crypto first to understand our business in order just to transact. So we're kind of building off second and third layer rails in order just to offer a very basic facility to our users. And it's a really, really tough market when you're relying upon, someone else to dictate terms to you just to do a very simple operation.
Thank you so much. Kat, you had also a few things to add up, I think, to this point.
Yeah, I'd like some assistance from the audience to help me with my next point. So please do raise your hand if you have a TradFi, sort of your normal bank account with, say, HSBC or Barclays, and at the same time, you have a Monzo, Revolut, or Starling cards that you use to actually manage your finances and you use for your day-to-day spending.
How about people give up from the big banks?
Pardon?
People gave up all big banks and only use the real bank.
Yeah, and who? Only two. Well, this is quite spectacular. So what am I trying to prove here? So clearly, we can see the pattern that all of the neobanks, or the so-called disruptors to the financial services, found a niche to coexist with the incumbent banks. Why so? Well, what happens is that a lot of the sort of neobanking smart functionality is built using the data which already exists in the transactions. And they're just taking this data about your daily transactions and helping you generate your reports about your spending, helps you to target your spending, helps you to save, do some budgeting exercises. And what happens is that this incredible interface and this toolkit for the average retail user can be easily replicated because this is just the front end. The back end infrastructure is still the same in the majority of cases. So you're still relying on the same payment networks and sort of your clearing and custody accounts and things like that. So what's been happening is that a lot of the incumbent banks, HSBCs and others, they are catching up to, and they figured out that you can have user-friendly interfaces and excellent apps. This is what's been going on. So when we talk about crypto, this could be a total paradigm shift. And we're not talking about slow evolution, but we're talking about complete disruption and complete revolution. Because if you think about the power of the blockchain technology and what it can bring to the financial services, we may actually completely eradicate the traditional financial institutions. So the payments networks can be totally eradicated if you allow Ripple network to leverage the technology for cross-border payments. Then the power of tokenized assets will enable trading of various equities or whatever securities 24/7 rather than 9 to 5. So this is how you may replace your stock exchanges. And then finally, the whole potential of the DeFi networks and the DeFi ecosystem. We can't even imagine at this stage how far it will go. So what's happening here, in my opinion, is that the traditional banks are actually acting out of fear when they are not supporting on-ramps and off-ramps from crypto exchanges and sort of debanking some of the crypto firms. So this protectionism comes out of fear that the way we think about the financial system is going to be completely turned on its head. And I would also somehow compare this to cars and automobiles as means of transportation. So instead of making a faster horse, we are sort of changing into a completely different vehicle, cars, right? And we're building a whole new network of motorways which will be suited for cars rather than horses. So that's my take on it.
Thank you so much. And so we have just touched upon like specifically protectionism, but basically being able to build trusted relationship with banks. What I would like to touch upon now is building trusted relationship with users and regulators. Jeff, you have mentioned your background in cyber security infrastructure, so you deeply understand the value of business privacy and security. On the other hand, we have seen FTX playing the game, unfortunately, of shell game. And lastly, we have the ethos of DeFi, which are all about open source decentralization. What do you think is the middle ground or the bridge for creating trust, a trusted network between crypto providers and crypto users?
It's a really good question. I think it always comes back to this big T word that gets kind of overused in crypto over and over again, which is transparency. You can be transparent up to a point where you're not revealing your secret source, your company secrets, you know. But it's all about Web3 and crypto and on-chain, etc. You know, all the transactions are out there for everyone to see if you know how to read them. So we can be very transparent in that way. You know, how much crypto do you have in your custody? It's very easy. If you do the work and do the research, you can see what asset providers are holding what, and also when they're being moved. The whole FTX shell game was already being played out well in advance, and the people that were really had their finger on the pulse could see what was happening. When it comes to, you know, that outreach and building trust with users, I think it's about how you conduct yourself in the market, how you conduct yourself with the regulator, how you're working with banks, not against them, working with your regulator and your ad standards agency. There are a lot of companies that run ad agencies the wrong way in terms of the marketing they put out there and stuff like that. So I think it's a balancing act between how you treat your users as, we actually call users in our organization, we call them clients. We don't call them users. We've got clients and we've got business accounts or corporates. We don't have users. So I think it's about the relationship you build with them and the trust that you give them, because I think it's our business to step out there first. In the marketing we put out there, how we treat our users, how we treat our customers and clients, being proactive and how we communicate with them. You know, keeping them up to date with our regulatory, I suppose, exposure, where we see the market going and what products we're building to exist in an ecosystem. And I think that's the only way you can really measure trust. It is basically the fundamental currency that all of our platforms are built on. If our users don't trust us, then they can easily move their assets somewhere else. And that's kind of the beauty of the market.
Thank you so much, Jeff. The last point like that I was mentioning is that I would like to touch upon how do we create trust proactively with regulators. Does someone want to pick that question?
I'll take that one as I swear on that. Yes, it's a massive topic. Like, how do we actually approach regulation? Actually, I think it's really different based on where you are regionally. So like our experience at Luno is what we've had, it's taken us many years to kind of get to know people on the ground, local regulators. In some cases, we've had to kind of push back, find like the right decision makers. Like the example which we always talk about is in Malaysia. You wouldn't think it, but they absolutely love crypto there. And for years, kind of, you could see that users wanted to adopt crypto, but like there just wasn't the right environment for it. Regulators weren't ready. So we had a team locally, and we spent almost, I think, 2 years speaking to the government, talking about how can we actually put together some sort of framework which will protect users, but also give them access to kind of the opportunity of crypto. And then after that time, finally they decided, okay, we're going to open up a license program and have Luno is one company, and there are a couple of others. So I think that was just one example where a regulator took their time, went with a trusted company. They built a relationship with us, and now they have a few companies that they're working with very closely and innovating quickly. So now new assets we bring onto our platform, we run that by the local regulator, having that relationship is really useful. And hopefully that's the kind of thing that can happen in other markets. Like I'm sure in the UK, it's hard to kind of compare, but I think having a regulator which is proactive, and I think we're fairly lucky generally with the FCA, how they approach things, but having like a proactive regulator that's willing to find the right balance, obviously, of moving forward, but protecting users is really important.
Thank you so much. I would like to actually follow up on the question, because you have done a lot of go-to-market strategy. when it comes to growing a retail customer base of crypto platforms. Can you tell us a bit about your experience of the importance of bringing basically as many options as possible of fiat rails when it comes to affecting your growth and conversion of user base or customer base, according to Jeff, or client base?
Yeah, it's like one of the core things we need to do as a platform. So when we launch a new country, when a business launches, like if we can't get people to switch fiat to crypto, then we don't really have a business yet. So yeah, that's really crucial. But then you mentioned like multiple options. I think now most users now just expect to be able to use their card and do a bank transfer and for it to hit instantly and to have open banking options. All this is kind of, especially in the UK, is just necessary. But yeah, I think Jeff put together like quite an interesting example of the crypto use case of sending the money from UK to Australia. You mentioned it's kind of like a first world example. I think it's probably only first world because of the amount you were sending. Okay, fair enough. But I think the example is actually appropriate for everywhere. And what we see, in emerging markets like in Africa is that many people, that's exactly the kind of use case they have. They need remittances. They need to be able to pay for business faster, cheaper. And often what we find is when you're sending an amount which is small from a country, a developing country, you get ripped off way more than you would here. So there's actually no point. It actually just changes your business entirely if you're ripped off to that extent. So being able to give people access to crypto so they can then go on and choose for themselves how to use it is really important in those markets. And as you say, multiple options, not just bank transfer, is key.
Thank you so much, Sam. So I would like to ask the last question to you guys, and whoever wants to jump in, please jump in. It's said that crypto winters are forbidding. I would love to, first of all, understand what has been your experience so far of crypto winter. And my second question, you answer to the one you want, is what products or prospects in cryptocurrency can help to end the winter? Sam, would you like to take a go at one of those?
I think, so this cycle is like my second one. And so I'm seeing like a lot of differences, I think, from the previous cycle. Generally, also crypto winter, I think, is exacerbated this time by obviously like macroeconomic conditions and everything, and FTX doesn't help. So I think this is definitely a unique period for us. We've mentioned, trust, transparency, dealing with regulators face to face if we can. That's going to help. Being very persistent. But also making sure that we don't kind of shy away in this time. The issue is that because most crypto companies, their revenue is so correlated to the price, in crypto winter, everything falls and you don't have the opportunity maybe to be as visible as you were previously. But I think it is very important to still not make the dips worse than they were by just disappearing entirely. And what we're trying to do at Luno is to continue with some brand presence, doing a lot of education, to make sure to get across the message that this is a long-term investment, long-term opportunity, and that there are companies that are going to be here through multiple waves. So I think doing that and also doing it in partnership with other companies, not necessarily competing quite as viciously as maybe we would have done. Being more collaborative will help us get through this.
Thank you, Sam. Kat, would you like to have a go?
I'd like to mention that, I totally agree with Sam that a lot of the trading revenues that crypto exchanges get, that comes from the retail users and their volumes of trading and their general interest in this asset class is very much correlated with the volatility and the price action in the market. But what is going to drive real adoption of this asset class is the interest and the commitment from the institutional user base. And I can assure you that we're seeing more and more commitment from the institutional clients.
Thank you so much. I think like Jeff had a similar point around the institutional clients.
Wings that work. And say wings of the building, and while retail buyers might have fallen off or disinterest, lost in assets, wherever it is, we had the last take, we didn't go down, but I was 21. After I keep getting my ears mixed up, Derek Beverick. But the institutional approach, they're very client demand driven. So we talked about neobanks, they want to add this asset into their product portfolio. They don't want to handle the asset, they'll handle the trading. Customs, if they're using the language is, its own with the pocket. So it's better to partner with the provider and it's active to do it. So the banking side of it is still very interesting, and those guys are making a lot of inquiries now during the winter while they're a little bit of time. The payments approach, we're using USD, USD DAI, and you got stable growing payments from law firms, institutions, property firms. I'm talking with 3 property firms, big ones, here in London right out, because they're getting client demand asking for it. The solution for me to DAI, I'll go somewhere else. So there's a big response now while we're in it there, but while we're in the, hopefully, end of this winter, there is a B2B business demand that are looking for solutions to implement. They're looking to solve these problems, so they are massively prepared to, enable a product or a service just before or in the first stage of the next bull up. There is interest there, even in the bottom of the market.
The last word.
It's really a tricky question. Where the crypto winter will be finished and so on, just because there is a recipe for that. But going back, the first crypto winter, the first popular crypto winter, before this one, there was a lot of dips and highs on cryptocurrency. But the first crypto winter was about the retail. People jumped into the crypto just to buy, sell, just speculate on that. Second crypto winter was about institutional buy, sell, and speculation, and that's kind of the whole. To be honest, and that's mind breaking. Maybe for me, last 2 years, maybe or so. That crypto currency initially was about the speculation. And the key word here is was, and what would be the ice breaking for the next bull run. It's what I call boring stuff. It's what said Jeff payments. It's using blockchain technology by design to tokenize stuff. It's what I'm working on is disrupting payments, creating the boring products, the products to transfer value from one point to another point. The products to invest properly, not just a buy, sell. Sorry guys, you're from the exchanges, but to develop proper investment products as similar to the current brokerage things for shares, but without the middlemen. So I have a lot of middlemen of brokers. You can choose and develop all your own investment products, and that's what DeFi about. That you can develop your own strategies and use them. And that's boring product as well. Hype it a bit, but boring, because you properly developing investment strategies, deploying them, whatever, crypto or not crypto, like a blockchain or like a custodial solution, and giving people the retail customers the way to think less in terms of what to buy. You just creating a pot, go throwing money over there, and you'll get a X or RPY and so on. And that's something what is boring on an investment and non-stable coin side. And that will end the crypto winter. Moving towards a B2B approach, B2B payments, adoption of stable coins on B2B side. Moreover, bringing self-custodian solutions inside the traditional fintech, traditional finance, and traditional fintech. Fintech became traditional as well. And giving the ability to people to choose whether I want to give the control from my money to centralized institution and kind of be potentially ripped off by random compliance or FTX like a guy or something else, or I would play the diversification game here. I'll stay with some point with some money on a self-custody account inside the Chase or inside the HSBC bank, and move the portion of my money to the bank-owned account cryptocurrency, and that's would be the kind of the highest quintessence of crypto bull run, next crypto bull run. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. We ran out of time, so I just want to say a big thank you to Sam, Kat, Ross, and Jeff for coming tonight and sharing all their experience and learning when it comes to the boring stuff, as Ross would say. And I will hand over back to Adam.